Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you can watch this. Um, so, Victoria Worrell here from Humble Servant Ministries, and I just want to come with you and I just wanted to share this word with you. Back in January, we had the Birthing Chamber Conference here in Cabot, Arkansas, and the Lord moved it around to where He had me speak, and I said, "Okay, Lord, if you're gonna, if I'm gonna do this, I just need to speak to them the way that you speak to me." And so that's what I did. But in that, He keeps showing me the roots and the seeds and the watering, and I'm like, okay. So maybe this word today is something that can help you, because I know there's plenty of times in my life that I need other people to speak into me. I need other people to show me things outside the box. You know, I always tell the Lord, I said, you know, I don't want to be confined to a box, and I know He doesn't want to be confined to a box. So less of me, more of you, Father. Less of me, more of you. And I think for an examples, some people need to look at things differently, which we do, because it helps instead of being in our own mindset. And, you know, the Lord keeps bringing back the roots and the seeds and the watering. And if I could show you this picture, I had this picture, from a couple years ago, and it was, I planted this seed, and it was, I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was sunflowers, I think, because I was doing it with a group of youth that I had a couple years ago. And He just showed me the soil and the foundation in which your seed grows, right? And it was so beautiful, just sprouting and coming out. And I think of the seeds in us, the seeds that are planted and they're being watered, and the things that He just wants to bring out, the beauty in it, right? In us, yes, the beauty of it. And because Lord knows we have all these seeds in us, and that's being watered and just ready to come forth, right? So one thing that I was reading that really stuck out for me was it was called the ancient seed. I'm like, whoa, the ancient seed that are grown into plants that are yield from fruit when mature. And I'm like, I really had to underline that word, when mature. You know, the seeds that don't take what's it called? Don't come forth until mature, right? And I'm like, okay, Lord. The ancient seed, I think of, wow. So that was like, you know, my heritage, way before me. Things that, you know, when they talk about you were planted in your womb of your mother, right? In the seeds of her, and the seeds of your grandmother, and the seeds before them, you know. And I'm like, wow. Where, you know, He says, for I have plans for you, and you just do not know, right? Okay, so the ancient seed is found by digging up in the artifact spot of a forest or mountains. I'm like, oh wow. I think of that mountain. I'm not the only one. I know this. There's mountains in our life that we seem like we keep going around the mountain, and you're like, Lord, how many times do I need to go around this mountain? And I just got to thinking of the forest and the mountain. How, you know, sometimes we're called away in prayer, and you're like, you know, Lord, take out of me what is not of you, you know. And think the roots that are in us that are not of Him, how He uproots them, right? And the seeds that are of Him that He plants and brings forth. And I'm like, oh wow, this is good. Like, Lord, just keep showing me. I got sidetracked for a minute. So when we're going around that mountain, and when I read that, or it says digging up, where we dig up the roots, and then the seeds that are planted of Him. Okay, so I was at this conference last November, and I was like, okay, Lord, they have this altar call, and I'm like, I don't want to go up there. Like, perfect example, I don't want to go up there, right? Like, I want to stay in my seat. And He says, so you've come this whole way, and you're going to sit in your seat. And I'm like, okay, maybe not. So I was standing there and I was praying, and I just kept hearing him call. And I think of, when we go around that mountain, right? And we're like, we just keep going, and we're like, do you hear him? Do you know what he's saying? Do you know what he wants to do in you? And I'm like, okay. So finally, I went up to the altar, and I was like, okay, less of me, more of you. Less of me, more of you. And I pretty much gave into like, okay, I can't do this. Like, you have to do it. But I think of when I was standing there, and then he told me, I need you to kneel down. And I'm like, okay, it's fixing to happen. So I went to the ground and I hit my knees and I just started praying, and he was just showing the ground. I just kept seeing the ground, and I'm like, what is this? What is it? And then I could see the person's feet in front of me. And so all I knew was I was to grab her feet, and I just started praying. And when I was praying, it was like all of a sudden, like everything shifted, right? And it was like, we all hit the ground, like face plant hit the ground, and I could feel the shaking. And it was like the shaking of foundations that he's doing. And the alignment in us that needs to take place, right? What if we are the seed that brings forth the mighty root system in the earth that will shake every foundation of the land? That is what I got last night. I'm like, oh my Jesus. Like, what if my seed is the new fruit in the land? What if your seed is the new fruit in the land? So also, you think about fruit and seed and shaking, right? So my husband and I were talking about, he knows this farmer that has trees, right? And how they get things off of the tree. And he says they have this machine that grabs a hold of the tree and it shakes the tree. Well, it shakes the ground if it shakes the tree, right? So I was thinking of shaking the tree and all the fruit coming off. What if God's getting a hold of us, shaking us for the fruit to come forth? I believe that is happening. I believe he is using multiple people in our life to do that, to help bring that fruit forth. My seed in me that has water flowing through it. So I remember I was talking about sitting on my couch, right? And I kept hearing this water. And I'm like, is there something wrong with my fish tank? Because we have a 75-gallon fish tank, right? So I would get up and I went into the fish tank room thinking, okay, is there water leaking? Is there water coming out for something? And then I'd walk around my house and there was no water, right? So I'd sit back down on my couch and I would hear this water flowing. And I'm thinking, wow. So he's speaking and you hear him and he's like, and he's telling you things, and the Holy Spirit that's in you that is revealing some things to you. A crop that will penetrate the public places. The word that is in us that will penetrate his word that comes forth, right? So I was looking in okay, so in Ezekiel 47:12, this is really good. It says, along the bank of the river, on the side that will grow all kinds of trees used for food. Their leaves will not wither, their fruit will not fail. They will bear fruit in every month, but their water flows from the sanctuary. So I was looking up, I'm like, oh, wow, that's good. The fruit will be for food, and their leaves will be for healing. I'm like, Lord, that's good. That's good. And then I was reminded of the other verse that says in Psalms 1:3, where he says, He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of the water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. I'm like, those verses are on it. They're the same thing and they match. I'm like, Lord. And then I went back to the sanctuary and I'm like, okay. And I was looking at it says for the holy place of him, right? I think of those seeds in us that he's trying to bring forth, the shaking, the watering that he's doing, and in his word where he shows and he reveals. But y'all, it's just been so. I just want to come today to tell you there's seeds in you. He's doing a new thing, which a lot of people say, oh, I'm like, no, for real, like straight up doing a new thing. I'm excited for those ancient seeds to come forth. I'm excited for the shaking that he's doing, because we've sat back for so long and just said, okay, whatever, no more. Like, I'm excited to see the growth in those seeds for me, for you. Yeah, so I hope this word has encouraged you today, because I was definitely excited to share it. And may you be blessed and have an amazing rest of your week. Bye.